Good evening, everybody, and welcome to those that are viewing us by TV. We welcome you as well. If you all would please stand, Councilman Cannella will lead us in our pledge and invocation.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight thankful for bringing us together this evening to discuss and deliberate, decide on the issues before the city. We ask that you'll give us a portion of your wisdom and your guidance so that we make good decisions on behalf of the city and all of its citizens. As always, Father, we ask that you be with our public safety employees and our military personnel. We ask all of these things. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
On our agenda, we have two public hearings. The first one is an ordinance authorizing the issuance of up to $3.6 million City of Poquoson general obligation bonds for certain capital improvements. Tanya?
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Tonight I have Kyle Lux from Davenport. As well on the phone, we have Jesse Bosch from San Andrews. He is our bond counsel. Kyle is going to talk about the new money as well as the refining and the great deals that we were able to get because we're in such a great situation.
How are you, Kyle?
I'm just fine, Mr. Mayor.
Good.
It's nice to see everybody this evening, as always.
Good to see you. Thank you for being here.
We appreciate the opportunity to see you. And we come tonight, I think, bearing good news for you and for the city as a whole. You may recall roughly a month, probably 45 days ago, we talked about a plan to finance the second portion or kind of the rest of the middle school project. And at the same time, we had identified an opportunity to refinance some existing debt for a lower interest rate. And so what we have tonight for you is the results of all of that. We'll tell you on the front end that they are very, very good. It's not something we typically say, but given where we are in terms of interest rates, I think many of you have seen this ahead of time. They're really very impressive results. And so a lot of that is owed to you as a city and your credit ratings, and if ever there was a demonstration of how important those credit ratings are and the dollars those mean to Poquoson, I think tonight is an excellent example of it. So we'll talk you through that. And then as Tanya mentioned, you have an ordinance for the new money side and a resolution for the refinancing. We can talk through, and with your collective blessing, we could move forward with. So with that, I'll just walk you through a couple pages and happy to answer questions as you have them. So again, the first portion of this really is just the balance of the middle school. It's a plan we put in place probably 4 years ago, so nothing new there per se. Importantly, doing all of this does not require anything else out of the tax rate, anything else out of the budget. It's all already in the plan, and that plan is going to look just that much better because of the results and the interest rates that we've gotten this evening. So that new money portion, which consists of the middle school, and then we also kind of added in there, if you recall the last meeting, about $400,000 for the turf field. So those two together are about 3.4 million plus or minus in that range. The other piece of it is refinancing in the sewer fund. That's a total of about 3.8 million. So both of those were bid out to local banks, to regional banks, to national banks. We got very good results back, as I mentioned, and we'll talk through that. So on page 3, just a little bit of a visual in terms of interest rates. I won't walk you through the details here, but I will tell you that where we sit right now, interest rates have actually gone up a fair amount during the last several weeks, and that hasn't entirely been reflected in the market yet. But our rates that we're talking about tonight, which were received a couple weeks ago, may indeed have kind of caught a bottom in the marketplace. So again, timing is everything, and by virtue of this process, we may be going through a situation where our rates are locked in, and we may be also sort of capturing a bottom, being a low in the interest rates. So you see that on page 3. It's a little bit easier to see on page 4 here, where if you look at that far right-hand graph, it's starting to kind of work its way back up a little bit. Who knows exactly where that goes? Impossible to predict where rates go, but certainly we feel good about the timing as well as the absolute levels of interest rates that we'll talk about tonight. Okay, so we'll just try and give you an executive summary here. But in essence, we'll talk about the new money first, which again is the middle school and that turf field. We got 8 bidders for that particular piece of the financing, so a nice turnout, a number of banks clearly interested in providing financing, which is good, and that you have that good competition. Citizens and Farmers, CNF, put in the best bid. It was pretty clearly the best bid. It's a fixed interest rate. It's prepayable anytime with no penalty. They gave us a couple different options, but the option that I think we all like with staff, and I'll let Randy and Tanya chime in to the extent they'd like, but the option that we like is a 15-year interest rate of 1.15%. So fixed for the whole time period, 1.15% with excellent prepayment flexibility. So that's a very nice financing result, and we'll talk about how many dollars that ends up basically saving you relative to the estimates that we ran. On the refinancing portion, there's a little more nuances to that, so I may save that for the next section, but also a very good result that'll save about $150,000 in addition over in the sewer fund. So on page number 6, again, just kind of the executive summary, Mr. Mayor and others. So we've got our middle school, we've got the turf field, we asked for a variety of different options, 15-year, 20-year, et cetera, and you see those in the middle of the page here. You've got an option 1, whereby the school is paid over 15 years, and the turf field still gets paid over 10 years, given the useful life of that particular project. And option 2 is a little bit longer, the school over 20 years and the turf field over 10 years. I think we all collectively like option 1, pays the debt off a little bit faster, and it's also hard to turn down, frankly, that low of an interest rate. 1.15% ends up for the city costing you about $250,000 less than even that option 2, which is a really, really good rate. And lastly then, with the CNF, or Citizens and Farmers bid, it's callable without penalty, basically meaning prepayable without penalty after the first 3 years. So it's hard to imagine you'd want to go refinance that, but if for some reason you did want to refinance it, or for some reason we wanted to pay it off, pay it early, we'd have that flexibility without any penalties after the first 3 years of the loan. We've got a note down here at the bottom that CNF is in the process of completing its final credit approval. That's actually already happened. So between the time we sent this to you and we've been working with the bank, their credit approvals are done. So we feel good about that. And they've held their rates through basically March 19th to work through the closing process. I suspect we'll be able to do it quicker than that. But importantly, these rates are set. So as you're watching the news, you see maybe interest rates are indeed going up. These rates are set by the bank. So we are locked in. Page number 7 will just give you a couple of the details here. When we did the planning for this, if you go back to earlier in the January, February timeframe, we had used a 3.5% planning rate. Not to say there's any magic to that, but that was just a reasonably conservative number, which we'd like to do when we do that kind of planning. So when you compare that planning to where you will actually end up, the city will pay about $860,000, rounding off a little bit, less in debt service than those planning interest rates. So that'll be a fairly significant savings relative to all those numbers we talked about just a couple months ago, again, by virtue of the excellent interest rates. I think the rest of this we've largely said in terms of it's a fixed rate, prepayable with a lot of flexibility. The other piece to this is the refinancing. So that's over in the sewer fund. So on page number 8 now, separate financing paid out of the sewer fund, self-supporting, not reliant on the general fund. We've got about $3.8 million that we're looking to refinance. And that loan, I'll use that term, that loan, is at 3% and basically goes out about 7 years. There's a little bit of a nuance here in terms of the call date of the loan isn't until February of next year, so there's a certain way we kind of work through that. It's got maybe a little bit of a funny term we'll talk about on the next page, but basically within the rules of the tax code, what we're allowed to do is to do a financing that's called a Cinderella Bond. It's a real term, and it's a bond that basically starts with a taxable interest rate, and then when we get to that next February time period, and the tax code allows it to be tax exempt, the interest rate flips. So, on page number 9, again, on this refinancing piece, 5 different bids put in, or excuse me, 5 different banks put in a bid on the refinancing. Truist, which is the kind of new combination of BB&T and SunTrust, put in the best bid here, and their bid was for this concept that is called the Cinderella Financing, only because it kind of flips at midnight, so to speak. It starts with an interest rate of 149, and then it converts in November. There's a very specific timing to that that's tied back to the tax code. It converts in November to a 118. So what that means is that working within the tax code, we're able to lock in the low interest rates that we have today. We're not worried about waiting until the call date in November. And also this loan is prepayable without penalty after November. So we've got a lot of prepayment flexibility. Not that we expect we're really going to need that, but it's always nice to have that level of flexibility in the future. And again, Truist here has completed their credit approval process. So we go to the next page, and I think frankly I may just jump ahead a page. This is probably a better page. So what does this refinancing really mean for us over in the sewer fund? Looking at page number 11. What it really means is we take that $3.8 million that right now is at a 3% interest rate, and it goes down to about a 1.47% interest rate on average. So you basically chop the interest rate in half. That ends up saving you as a city about $22,000 a year, which is about $150,000 in total. So again, that's totally different and separate from what we're talking about on the school side. It's just kind of another added advantage, given where rates are and given your strong credit standing, able to shave off basically $20,000 a year out of the sewer budget just by virtue of taking advantage of a lower interest rate. With that, I might pause there. Mr. Mayor, any members of council, I realize it's probably a lot in a short time period, but any questions you have?
Any questions to Kyle? Passed.
Well, we'll do the next steps, and then we'll let you close it out, Mr. Mayor. So this evening, this really is the last action we need from you. There'll be a public hearing on the new money, and then there is an ordinance that you can approve on the new money side of things. There's no public hearing required on the refinancing, just by virtue of the way the the state law works. You've already had a public hearing because those projects were already authorized originally. So those are the only actions we need of you this evening. And then we will work closely with your staff, with Sands Anderson, your bond counsel, to bring that all to closure with the 2 different banks within the next couple weeks. So with that, Mr. Mayor, I will yield the floor and.
All right, Kyle. Again, any other questions for Kyle? Okay, thank you, sir. Let's open a public hearing and ask if there's anyone in our audience who would like to address this issue. Now's the time to do it. Okay, if not, council? for the ordinance?
Mr. Mayor, I propose a resolution authorizing issuance of, oh, I'm sorry, that's the wrong one, just a second.
Doing the ordinance.
Mr. Mayor, I propose an ordinance authorizing issuance of general obligation bonds of the city of Poquoson, Virginia, and providing for the form, detail, and payment thereof. That's new money with a 15-year option.
Okay, we have a motion and a second that we adopt the ordinance. Any concerns, comments? Anyone? No? Yes, sir?
Could I just clarify, because the Vice Mayor did not, if he said it, I didn't hear it through his mask. The amount of money, was that the ordinance authorizing the issuance of up to $3.6 million in general obligation bonds, Mr. Vice Mayor?
I didn't say that.
Was your motion then the second listed resolution issuing up to $4.1 million principal amount for the general obligation bonds, City of Poquoson?
Okay, I'll amend my motion.
For this, we want to make crystal clear that the motion is correct.
Vice Mayor, I believe where the confusion is on the ordinance that San Anderson provided did not put the dollar amount, but however, in our agenda item, we do have the ordinance listed as ordinance authorizing issues up to $3.6 million for general obligation bonds for the city of Poquoson for certain capital improvements.
We've amended it, his motion, he seconded it. We can amend that as well.
Okay, Mr. Mayor,
Do it again.
I'll amend that ordinance to authorize issuance of up to $3,600,000 City of Poquoson general obligation bonds for certain capital programs.
All right. Okay, we have a motion made and seconded to adopt that ordinance. Any concerns, comments? If not, Ms. Kim, please.
Vice Mayor Freeman. Councilwoman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilman Southall.
Aye.
Councilman Kneppa.
Aye.
Councilman Hux.
Aye.
Councilman Green. Councilman Green.
Aye.
And Mayor Hessel.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you, Kim. All right, we're going to get some information about this resolution, and then we'll take that one off. Yeah, anything else on that one, Kyle?
No, sir. Happy
Okay.
to answer any questions, but go ahead.
If there are no questions, then we'll open a public hearing regarding the resolution. Anyone in the audience would like to address the resolution? What's in that packet? If not, I've asked for a motion from someone.
Mr. Mayor, I propose a resolution authorizing the issuance of up to $4.1 million for the principal amount of general obligation funding bonds of the city of Poquoson, Virginia, for the purpose of refunding certain obligation bonds of the city and providing for the form, details, and payment thereof.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we have a motion made and seconded. We adopt the resolution. Any concerns, comments, any questions? If not, Ms. Kim, please.
Councilwoman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilman Canella.
Aye.
Councilman Southall.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman. Councilman Hux.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
And Mayor Hessel.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you, Kim. Okay, Kyle, do you have anything else you want to? Okay. All right, thank you so much for being here. And Tanya, thank you for the work you've done on this.
As well as Jesse was on the phone in case y'all didn't know. Jesse from San Anderson.
Okay. All right, let's move on to audience for visitors. Is there anyone in our audience that would like to address council on any issue? We'd be delighted to hear from you this time. Okay, if not, we'll move on to approval of our minutes from our regular session, January 25th.
Mayor, I move we approve the minutes of our regular session for Monday, 17 January.
Second.
25th, isn't it?
It's 25 January, yes,
Okay.
sir.
All right, have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, have a motion, second, we adopt those minutes. Any concerns, comments regarding those? If not, Ms. Kim, please.
Councilman Green,
Aye.
Councilman Hooks,
Aye.
Councilman Canella,
Aye.
Councilman Southall,
Aye.
Councilwoman Andrews,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman, and Mayor Hessel.
Aye.
0.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Kim. Now we're going to new business. First item is an ordinance making additional appropriations for fiscal year 2021 for general fund grants, site aid, and donations. Is this, you already up there? Okay. Tanya?
This is my general house cleaning I'd like to bring to you. The fire department received their award for the local emergency management performance grant. That yields us an additional $7,500, as well as their allocation from the Virginia Department of Fire Programs. That's $46,304 additional revenue that the fire department can utilize for their grants. The finance department did receive a grant from our insurance company of $4,000. That's to purchase defibrillators that's been placed here at City Hall, as well as the municipal building. And then, of course, the police and library received donations. This ordinance will appropriate that, as well as the additional state aid that the library has received.
Okay. Thank you, Tanya. All righty. Any concerns or questions for Tanya? If not, someone prepare for the motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt an ordinance making additional appropriations for fiscal year 2021 in the general fund, grants, state aid, and donation.
Okay. Thank you, Kerry. Second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion made and second that we adopt that ordinance. Any concerns, comments, questions? If not, Ms. Kim, please.
Councilman Canella,
Aye.
Councilwoman Andrews,
Aye.
Councilman Green,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman, Councilman Southall,
Aye.
Councilman Hooks, and Mayor Hessel.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, thank you, Kim. All right, let's move on to a resolution making appointments to various boards and commissions.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt a resolution making appointments to various boards and commissions with the following names. For the York Poquoson Social Services Advisory Board, Roy Staton. His term expires 31 January 2025. For Architectural Review Board, Stephen Schott, and his term expires 31 January 2024. And for the Wetlands Board, Sally Smith from the Western Precinct, and her term expires 31 January 2026.
Second.
All right, we have a motion made and seconded that we adopt the resolutions with those names inserted. Any other comments or concerns? If not, Ms. Kim, please.
Councilman Southall,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman,
Aye.
Councilman Hooks,
Aye.
Councilman Green,
Aye.
Councilman Canella,
Aye.
Councilwoman Andrews,
Aye.
Mayor Hessel.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you, Kim. Item 3, resolution making nominations for appointment to the Board of Equalization.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt a resolution making nominations for appointments to the Board of Equalization for the City of Poquoson with the following names: Henry L. Freeman, James Biles, Cecil Miller, Casey Stratton, Kathleen Powell, and Teresa Sullivan.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded that we adopt the resolutions with those names inserted. Any concerns, comments, questions regarding that? If not, Ms. Kim, please.
Councilman Hooks,
Aye.
Councilman Southall,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman,
Aye.
Councilman Green,
Aye.
Councilwoman Andrews,
Aye.
Councilman Canella,
Aye.
Mayor Freeman, Mayor Hessel.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, thank you, Kim. The 4 on the new business is an ordinance regarding applications to the Board of Equalization and the disposition of such applications. And do I understand that right, Mr. City Manager, that this is recommendation to the judge?
This particular, the resolution that you just did is making recommendations to the judge. This resolution establishes the dates by which persons that would like to appeal to the Board of Equalization. To make that appeal, appeals need to be delivered to the assessor's office by close of business on July the 2nd. And the Board of Equalization will hold meetings throughout July as needed, and is by this ordinance, or excuse me, this ordinance would be required to complete its work by August the 18th.
Okay, thank you, Randy. Okay, we had a motion. Was there a second? I just didn't hear it.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt an ordinance of the City of Poquoson, Virginia regarding appeal applications to the Board of Equalization and the disposition of such application.
Second.
Okay. Have a motion made second. Adopt that ordinance. Any concerns, comments, questions? If not, Ms. Kim, please.
Vice Mayor Freeman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilman Southall.
Aye.
Councilman Canella.
Aye.
Councilman Hux. Councilman Green.
Aye.
Mayor Hessel.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Our next item of business is a closed session. It is a closed session pursuant to Section 2.2-3711A3 of the Code of Virginia as amended to discuss acquisition of real property for a public purpose.
So move.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. We go to closed session. Ms. Kim, please.
Councilwoman Andrews.
Aye.
Councilman Canella. Councilman Southall.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman.
Aye.
Councilman Hux. Councilman Green.
Aye.
Mayor Hessel.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
All right, thank you, Kim. All righty.
Yeah, we can go into closed sessions.
We can do it, you can do it in your...
We have to wait
So
on
the
TV.
TV comes back. There we go.
Okay, we are returned from closed session, and Mr. Vice Mayor?
Mr. Mayor, I move, we talked about what we said we were going to talk about, and only that in our closed session.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made and seconded that we certify our closed session. Any concerns, comments, questions, anybody? If not, Ms. Kim, please.
Councilwoman Andrews. Councilwoman Andrews.
Aye. Sorry, I wasn't unmuted.
Councilman Canella.
Aye.
Councilman Southall.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman. Councilman Hux.
Aye.
Councilman Green.
Aye.
Mayor Hessel.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
All right, Kim, thank you. Comments to the city manager?
Hold on 1 second, Mayor, let me get y'all back live.
Oh, I thought we were live.
You're live. Okay, just want to make sure.
We should, Scott, we did that certification live, correct? Okay, thank you.
Ooh.
All right, Mr. Mayor, members of council, 3 things this evening. One, I just wanted to state for the record, though if you're listening to the meeting, you heard it, that Councilwoman Andrews and Councilman Green are participating in the meeting by phone and fully participated and voted on each measure before the council this evening. 2, I was going to speak to the food bank, but since Councilman Green can join us, I'll defer that point to him. And lastly, I just want to speak for a second to thank all involved in the financing actions that we took earlier today. If you sort of boil it to its essential elements, we took advantage of our credit rating and the current market conditions to refinance some sewer debt, which will save our community about $150,000. We were able to bring forward a financing package for the last piece of the middle school to include the turf field. Not only was it within budget, it was substantially under budget in terms of the cost of financing it. But, and Kyle said this, but it's worth saying one more time, that because of the interest rate that we were able to get on a 15-year financing, we were able to shorten the term. That front loads the repayment schedule. You may recall one of our key financial guidelines is that at least 50% of our debt has to be repayable in the first 10 years of our normal 20-year debt load. So this strengthens our financial guidelines. It actually allowed us to go from 20 years to 15. Think about that in terms of like your household mortgage. And in doing that, through a combination of paying for a shorter period of time and paying a reduced interest rate of 1.15%, our citizens will realize interest savings over the course of that financing of about $250,000. So the actions we took today remain in budget. They were in accordance with our plan. They were actually under budget in terms of debt. And we've saved through the two actions $400,000 that we otherwise wouldn't have, having gone through this process, and potentially way more than that as you compare it to our planning estimate. So all in all, a team win, and it starts with the work that you all did several years ago to set the updated financial policies and the actions that you've taken to support them over the years, as well as the work of staff and our bond counsel and our financial advisors. I just wanted to footnote that. It's not often we get to move things forward under budget, on schedule, and saving hundreds of thousands of dollars, but it's worth taking the time to talk about it.
It is indeed, Randy. And thank you for your work. And Tanya, thank you. I know that you played a large role in putting this together, so we thank you. Anything else, Randy?
No, sir.
Okay. Bud, got anything?
I would like to add my special personal thanks to Randy and the staff for doing that for the city, okay? He just reiterated the savings that we get and the improvement in our financial standing for the citizens of Poquoson, and they have done a fantastic job, and thank Randy and the staff for. Also, we saw a letter this week where the Poquoson Museum had made a donation to the Canine Fund to support our police department, okay? And I thank them for that donation. That was a really nice thing for them to do. And it, maybe one day we can get a new canine dog for the police. Takes place. And one thing, it's personal, and maybe or maybe not, I shouldn't bring it up, but I will. One of the oldest, long-standing businesses, family-run business in the city of Poquoson, suffered a tragedy this past week. And I ask that everybody keep them in their thoughts and their prayers.
Okay, thank you, Bud. Thomas?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to congratulate our high school wrestling team on winning their 4th consecutive state championship this evening. That's all I have, sir.
David?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a comment.
Okay. Mr. Vice Mayor?
I have nothing tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, nor do I. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot about you, buddy.
That's all right, I'm easy. I'd just like to remind everybody that mobile pantry, food pantry tomorrow at the old hall from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And our able-bodied staff is our host this week and or this month. And unfortunately, Pat and I had a little visit from our Chinese cousin COVID. We won't be able to be there. But we've got an able team, and I know the city will help out very much. We appreciate you being there. Any council members that would like to stop by, we appreciate the help. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, buddy. Jana?
Nothing additional.
I'm sorry. Okay, all right. Thank you, Jana. Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr.
All
Mayor.
right. Ms. Kim, please.
Councilman Green,
Aye.
Councilman Hux,
Aye.
Councilman Canella,
Aye.
Councilman Southall,
Aye.
Councilwoman Andrews,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Freeman, and Mayor Hessel.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
All righty, we are adjourned.